After a historic 2020 hurricane season with 30 named storms in the Atlantic basin, 6 of which were classified as major hurricanes, all eyes are now on the 2021 season. I spoke with Dr. Phil Klotzbach of Colorado State University to learn more about their prediction for the upcoming season.
The 2021 Atlantic hurricane season, we are forecasting an above average hurricane season this year. A total of 17 named storms. Of those 17, 8 becoming hurricanes. And of those 8, 4 becoming major category 3, 4, 5 hurricanes.
Unfortunately, not good news for those across the Caribbean, especially in those recent hard-hit areas. But what makes this year an above average year for tropical development? Colorado State University has been issuing tropical outlooks for 38 years now, and a lot of research goes into these predictions. Meteorologists closely monitor ENSO, or the El Niño Southern Oscillation out in the Pacific, as it has direct impacts on the Atlantic tropical season. El Niño and La Niña are the warm and cool phases of a recurring climate pattern across the tropical Pacific. The sea surface temperatures can shift back and forth irregularly every 2 to 7 years, and each phase triggers predictable disruptions of temperature, precipitation, and winds. During an El Niño phase, wind shear usually increases across the Atlantic basin, which disrupts tropical development.
We don't think we're going to see El Niño this summer and fall. As a counterpoint, last year we had a La Niña event in place. La Niña is colder than normal water in the eastern and central tropical Pacific. When La Niña occurs, you tend to have much less shear. And when you have that less shear, especially in the Caribbean, it can allow for a much more active season. And especially we saw last year, especially late in the Western Caribbean, extremely active.
As it stands right now, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, only gives a 10% chance of El Niño to develop this summer. More likely would be a weak La Niña or a neutral phase, which again tends to result in less shear and is more favorable for tropical development. While each hurricane season there's a moderate risk of a hurricane entering the Caribbean, this year there's an increased risk.
So this year, for example, for the Caribbean, on average, the probability is about 40% in any year that a major hurricane is going to track into the Caribbean. And this year we have the probability is elevated, it's at about 60%.
Regardless of a below or in this case an above average forecast hurricane season, it's imperative to prepare now, as all it takes is one storm to cause life-changing effects. Residents are reminded to have a plan in place ahead of any potential storms and have extra food and supplies on hand to be able to withstand lengthy power outages.
And then really one of the keys is heeding the advice of your local emergency management officials. They're the ones that know your area the best. So if they say, shelter in place, that you don't need to evacuate, then don't. But obviously, if they say that you need to leave because of the storm intensity, then therefore you should follow their advice and evacuate.
The unfortunate reality is that tropical development has increased in the last several years. The new 30-year average for tropical storm development, which now ranges from 1991 to 2020, is more active compared to the previous 30-year average from 1981 to 2010. The new 30-year average shows 14 named storms, 7 of which will become hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. For One Caribbean Television, this is meteorologist Gio Veras.